Silas Vox here, once again on a lovely Friday, here to resume our Enochian vision magic calls. We're going to be finishing out the Earth quadrangle of the air tablet today with SHAL, S-H-A-L. So we'll see what comes through. As you can probably see in the video now, the incense is no longer smoking, so scratch that. But the scent is heavy in the air. I have bathed, I have banished my temple. Maybe one day I'll show you what I do for my own banish, because it's my own take on the LBRP. Not quite standard, but a little modified. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive in. Teach me, O Creator of all things, to have correct knowledge and understanding, for your wisdom is all that I desire. Speak your word in my ear, O Creator of all things, and set your wisdom in my heart. Amen. Behold the ring! Lo, this it is. This is it, wherewith all miracles and divine works and wonders were wrought by Solomon. This is it which philosophy dreameth of. This is it which the angels scarce know. This is it, and blessed by his name. Yea, his name be blessed forever. Without this I shall do nothing. Blessed be his name that encompasses all things. Wonders are in him, and his name is wonderful. Pele. His name works wonders from generation to generation. Amen. Behold the layman! As the holy table conciliates heaven and earth, let this layman which I place over my heart conciliate me to the holy table. Amen. Every week I hit the table with my lamen. Pa med fam med drux fam fam ged graf drux med graf graf med med gal ged drux pa drux tal fam don graf don gisigan med ged graf van don pa drux don drux med graf med graf sef ged mals fam pa gan med graf fam mals tal pa drux van med gan drux Pa med fem med drux fem ged graf drux med graf med gal ged drux pa drux tal fem don graf don gisigan med ged graf van don Pa drux don drux med graf med graf sef ged mals fam pa gan med graf fam mals tal pa drux van med gan drux Pa med fem med drux fem ged graf drux med graf med gal ged drux pa drux tal fem don graf don gisigan med ged med graf van don pa drux don drux med graf med graf sef ged mals fam Pa gan med graf fam mals tal pa drux van med gan drux Pa med fem med drux fem ged graf drux med graf med gal ged drux pa drux tal fem don graf don gisigan med ged med graf van don pa drux don drux med graf med graf sef ged mals fam pa gan med graf fam mals tal pa drux van med gan drux Pa med fem med drux fem ged graf drux med graf med gal ged drux pa drux tal fem don graf don gisigan med ged med graf van don pa drux don drux med graf med graf sef ged mals fam Pa gan med graf fam mals tal pa drux van med gan drux Pa med fem med drux fem ged graf drux med graf med gal ged drux pa drux tal fem don graf don gisigan med ged med graf van don pa drux don drux med graf med graf sef ged mals fem pa gan med graf fam mals tal pa drux van med gan drux Pa med fam med drugs fam urged graf drugs med graf med or med gal ged drugs pa drugs untal fam dan graf dan gesigan med ged med graf van dan un pa drugs dan drugs med graf med graf sef ged mouse fam pa gan med graf fam mouse tal pa drugs van med gan drugs med gan gisig dan van dan med graf med dan gan dan med gisig van graf med gan gisig dan van dan med graf med dan med gan dan med gisig van graf med gan gisig dan van dan med graf med dan med gan dan med gisig van graf med gan gisig dan van dan med graf med dan med gan dan med gisig van graf med gan gisig dan van dan med graf med dan med gan dan med gisig van graf med gan gisig dan van dan med graf med dan med gan dan med gisig van graf med gan gisig dan van dan med graf med dan med gan dan med gisig van graf Galas, Gethog, Thauth, Hordwin, Inon, Ayoth, Galethog, Zafkiel, Zedekiel, Kumael, Raphael, Haniel, Mikael, Gabriel, El, Me, Esse, Iana, Akele, Azdoban, Stimkul, Iller, Demal, Heoa, Biegia, Stimkul, Es, Ab, Ath, Izad, Ekeye, Madimi, Esse, Mele, An, Ave, Liba, Rokle, Hagonel, Ilemes, Sabathiel, Zadkiel, Madimiel, Selemiel, Nogahel, Korabiel, Lavanael. Lua, Leng, Sach, Urch, Iad, Moz, Zir, Iad, Bab, Zna, Iad, Sor, Gru, Iad, Ser, Os. Mikma goho piad zirkomsat Asien biab os londo, nors chis olthil gigipa undel chis tab huim, ke mosple telok ka ien tortor chis sige emosian dist brigda ad torzil li ol balzar god alla thiln os ne ta abd luga vomsa glonsa kapni ali vors klak homil kokasib. Fafen izizop od mi noag deg ni tabuan nana iel panpir mal pregi kaosig pild noan un la balt advuan do o iap mad go holor go hus amiran mikma husos ka hom od do oain noar mi ka ols ayom kasarm gohia Zakar unigleg ad imua marpugo plapli ananiel khan. Bazmelo I ta piripson ol nazavab ox kasarm gevran chis vigeg sabram gbaltho goho iad soba miam trian lat lol sis abayunin ad azagir rior. Irgil chis da dispa a ox bus de caosgo de chis odi puran telo a kakrig o is alman loncho od voina karbath nisso bagle avauago gohon nisso bagle mo maio saion od mabza yad oais momar poilp Nis zamran siaofi kasogo ad bliors od korsita a bramig. Ol vinu od zakam, ilsga, SHAL. Od lanch vors giad gohos pugo ils nisso ad darbs, dujap, exarp, dujap, oro iba eilspi, o dujap, bataiva, o dujap, abiorio, aosaif, hitmorda, ahaeospi, hiptoga, od atotar. Duya. Ai. Duya. Oit. Olvinu ad zakam. Ilska. SHAL. As is very typical for me, as soon as I close my eyes, I'm met by almost like a whooshing vortex. Visual, not physical in sensation, but in this a myriad of shapes float before my eye until something settles. In the last 2 weeks, it's become very quickly settling. This week, we have 4 crescents that interlock at each other's tips to form something of a square, of course with the rounded shape in the middle being the position of the crescents. So we have a crescent here, a crescent here, a crescent here, and a crescent here. I suppose you could construe that as a diamond shape. I mean, it's a square just turned slightly so that its point is down. This one is translucent, and the color is pretty much just white and black. Pardon me. As always, I will ask the correct pronunciation of the name. SHAL. There's various ways this is coming through. SHAL. It's seeming to communicate that it goes by many names and many pronunciations. And each pronunciation has a different purpose. Well then, what is your purpose? I keep getting an egg cracking, but as the egg opens, there's light pouring out from inside. Another aspect, or another take on this same imagery, an egg that is whole is being pierced by a ray of light, and as the light infuses the egg, the shell cracks, leaving behind only an egg shape of pure white. And the surface of this white light is coruscating. It's rather beautiful to behold. It's almost like a mother of pearl with different layers interweaving. It's very much like a psychedelic experience, where if you look at a plain wall or a textured ceiling, you see the different things swishing back and forth. If you've never had that experience, you'll just have to take my word for it. I may have done it, so you don't have to. So how does this work for me in my life, my body, and my soul, my spirit? This entity seems to directly be responsible for the formation of the light body. The egg shell is just a representation of the physical. So by piercing or infusing one's inner self with this light, one creates a double of the body that is made of this light, this coruscating, beautiful light. And then even if the shell falls away, the structure is retained. I ask if this being can help me do that, and before I even finish formulating the question in my mind, is yes! Swift answer. So do it. SHAL. 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 I apologize for the extended silence. Things were happening and I didn't dare interrupt. What seemed to be a beam of light the thickness of a needle came in through my crown and through the spine all the way down to the base. And then I felt a vibration, kind of like water, like if water was pouring over a surface, that kind of vibration, and it filled my entire body. And I was instructed to say the name, as I did several times, in that particular pronunciation, of which I can't even remember right now, but right then, that was the aspect that you call upon to have the same experience. That name, that vibration has that effect. You can call it into yourself. Even now, there's almost like a very faint, cooling, chilled sensation that's permeating my body. This was almost like a water glass being filled with substance, but not poured in from the top and raising from the bottom to the top. No, this radiated out from the center and filled like this. SHAL. So why do this? What is the point of calling in this light? What is actually happening? met with an image of metal struts holding up a building, like the skeleton of a skyscraper. So this is helping to support a structure that is already existent. It's adding structural integrity. I know from past ritual, past calls, that the majority of the work that needs to be done in my etheric or light body is in the lower extremities. And that is where I feel the most sensation at this time. My legs, hips, feet. This is where the most sensation is. Everything above my waist seems stable, but the bottom, it feels like things are being knit and woven. And that coruscating pattern that I discussed earlier, I can feel that in my legs. So is this a one-time thing? Does this create the structure, or is this something I need to repeat? I'm showing that no, this is rather permanent. At most, this should be done maybe once a year. I'm told to be silent now, so I will. Bear with me. The knitting and weaving sensation is faded. It's like it's complete. And I'm being shown an image, a projection of that body, and I can see it. Sitting in a mirrored fashion that I am right now. Pure white and radiant, with coruscating surface. I've used that word a lot, but it is the most apt. Sorry, there are very few words for this. Being face to face with that projection, the light entity opened its eyes. First black, and then pinpricks of white, and then galaxies, nebulas intertwining and spinning. This is a similar experience I've had to when I scryed the 30th Aether and was face to face with a humanoid being. And her eyes were galaxies, and I could get lost in them. It's the only part of her face I could see. Everything else was fuzzy in detail and would not come into focus, but those eyes. And while while this projection is not as majestic or as deep as the other entity that I came into contact with, it's still there. And this isn't unsettling or eerie in any way, it's just a wonder to behold. In order to give some use of this video for those who watch, I will ask the same question I ask of every entity. If there is any generic information or anything that you would like to communicate to those who watch for them. And strangely, it has very little to say. It just keeps showing the ritual, doing the ritual. If you want to experience this entity, you must do the ritual. If you want to have this experience, you must do the ritual. Call upon it. Open your mind and your heart, and you shall be filled with the white light. It reiterates that interaction with this entity is not a requirement to construct the light body. This is just a helping hand. There are myriad people existent in the world who have knit their own body without assistance. But for those who struggle, for those who have not even attempted to do this without assistance, have not attempted to do this on their own, this is where you go. SHAL. There are certain energy centers within the light body that this entity is pointing out to me and activating. Palms of the hands, the tip of each finger, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, etc., etc. Rather sharp pain in my foot. Not sure if that's related or not. As it activated the vortices in the eyes, the vision like sprung to like a high definition version. It's like going from a regular television to an HD television for the first time. Much more detail and texture. This is a permanent thing. being shown an image of that very thin strand of white light projecting upwards and upwards and upwards and upwards to a central core, and from that core, uncountable filaments of these threads extend from its center and permeate every living thing. All things are connected through that one source, the source. It is through this filament that we can directly communicate. It's how this source directly communicates with us, even when we are not listening. It acts as a direct link, a conduit through which information can be downloaded. When one dreams, one can travel through this filament, return to the source, and then project through another filament. So when you have a dream experience that seems very real, it just may be. This can be done with multiple filaments simultaneously. Spreading awareness amongst all these other filaments and being able to focus on each one. The consciousness, the attention flows like a river. Experience, to experience, to experience, all tied in through the filament that comes down and connects you to them. I'm sorry, there are no more words. This is a very personal, internal vision. I ask if the entity has any further words, and the answer is no. I met with the smiling face of a monk, sitting in meditative asana, smiling and radiating joy and happiness. There are no words. There is only experience. And the knowledge that comes from silence. The crescents that I first saw when I entered the vision have shifted. Instead of being a diamond or a square shaped, it is now circular. They have flipped and become a sphere. dismiss the entity and return. Thy name be mighty, O God, which canst open the veil, whereby thy all-powerful will may be opened unto men. Power, glory, and honor be unto thee, for thou art the same God of all things, and art life eternal. Amen. That was a rather powerful experience. Although I'm sure for you watching this wasn't that entertaining. But frankly, I don't care. That was all for me. In the past, I've encouraged everyone who watches to do this, and this is the reason. Watching this from the outside is like watching a movie or reading a comic, but you need to experience it. Still buzzing, like almost electric sensation running through my legs. It's like when you get goosebumps, that kind of staticky feeling is like a vortex in there. And this is only halfway done with the air tablet. Man, so much more to do. Well, as always, thank you for watching, and I will continue next week.